Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, which is presented to you by Power Planter Earth Augers, the official digging tool. To find the right size for your digging project, visit powerplanter.com. Now here are your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest this week.
Maria Colletti is a teacher at Westchester Community College in their adult education or native plant curriculum, and she teaches native moss identification and creates an indoor mossararium. She's a horticulturist, terrarium designer, traveling workshop instructor, and author. Her book is called Terrariums, Gardens Under the Glass, and her website is green-terrariums.company.site. Welcome to the program, Maria.
Yes, hello. Hello. Glad to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you on the program. Since we've booked you for the program, all I've heard from Holly is, I want to build a terrarium. I want to build a terrarium.
Yes, you must.
So what is a terrarium for people who've heard the term but not familiar with it, and how did you get into creating these things?
Sure. Well, terrariums, even to this day, are like a magical little glass house to me. They are a glass house, usually made out of glass, and it's usually closed. That's your traditional terrarium, your classic terrarium, how they started. And what happens inside is that the plants are planted, they have moisture in the soil, and they are closed in there. And then this little self-sustaining ecosystem starts where the water not evaporates, kind of rises up out of the soil and the leaves, and it gathers on the top and the glass, and as it accumulates, it then feeds back into the soil. And so it's this self-sustaining circular motion, and that's actually how the world and our planet work. As everything rises into the sky, creates water and clouds, and then comes back down and sustains us. So the mystery is just so wonderful to me that this is what's going on in there. And as you said, what started me with all of this, well, a lot of us have someone we are inspired by, and it's almost 8 years ago now. There's a woman in the market, Tova Martin. She's really a terrific plant person on the East Coast here. And she had written one of the first terrarium books just when the craze or the interest has started. And I had been studying her work, and I worked at the New York Botanical Garden for many years as their store manager and as their horticulturist there in the shop. And so we sold all these glass containers, and I just started filling them with plants, and we started selling them. And I started to, change designs and experiment with different plant material myself. And after a while, I found my own design, found my own look, style, let's say. So that's really how it all started. It was a little taste on the market, and then I was in an environment where I could just basically, it was heaven. You could pick and choose what you wanted to do. So that's how I got started, and it just went from there.
Now, whenever we create a terrarium, and we'll get into this a little deeper, is there a quote-unquote right size for a terrarium, or can it be any size?
Well, it can be any size. Of course, the larger the terrarium, there is a different dynamic in planting. You can use different size plants. And then the smaller the terrarium, you're going to be using minute little things, and you may want to choose specific plants that would work better. Different plants grow different growth patterns, different speed of growth. So you want to be a little choosy about what you're doing with the size that you have. And different glass jars even, and I talk about this in my book, present themselves as creating more or less moisture. Something about the shape, like a fish bowl or a straight sided cookie jar, and also the way the lids fit on are very important. The lids and the way they seal the glass jar is going to dictate how much moisture is going on inside there. So maybe more information than you wanted to know, but there you go.
That's definitely okay. Now, is this something that anyone can do? Maybe if you feel you don't have a green thumb, you're like, I've tried growing houseplants, I end up killing them. Would this be something that maybe is a little bit more successful for people like that?
Sure. And, if a person doesn't have a green thumb and they need a little help with what to choose, they can choose some simple, easy plants, maybe one plant in a small container. And, now there's the air plant, those little spiky looking air plants. Their botanical name is Tillandsia, and they're available even at the grocery store these days. That's a very easy plant to use, and you can put it in a glass jar or bowl or anything, and it really just needs to be misted with a plant mister, and that's it. So if you want to start with something like that, where you get your sea legs there on how to do it, and that sort of thing, I think, sure, or one little plant in a glass container, and I think that'll get you on the right path.
So with that being said, what are some other tips in which you can offer for best terrarium success? When we plant the plants in there, we're obviously using some type of medium to grow that. I'm assuming that's a potting soil or a compost? Sure.
A regular houseplant soil is just fine. You don't want anything that's going to remain too muddy, so, any sort of regular houseplant soil is just fine. What I like to do, I have a couple of things that have shown to give me a little advantage. So to be successful with the terrarium, you should only water it, if you do at all, with a mister. And you put it on the squirt, like you turn it so it squirts a stream of water. And that is how you're going to water it if you need to at all, because most closed terrariums will go several months without needing any water. If it's open or the lid is a little loose and the air is kind of getting in and out, it may dry out a little quicker, and so you would use the mister. Then when you're building the terrarium, I've discovered over the last few years a new thing where I like to put a little layer of sand on the bottom and then put your pebbles on top, because you're creating an area where any excess water can go down, and the sand is such a great catch-all. It's going to keep that extra water. It's going to absorb it, first of all, and it's going to keep it away from the plants so that they don't get too soggy or watery. So, and you can use colored sand even, which is decorative, and that's kind of exciting in your design. I water the plants before I plant them in the terrarium, and then you don't give them water again. So you know that they got a little wet in the soil, in their little root ball. You plant them in there, and then you leave it for at least a week or so. And again, if it's closed, it probably isn't going to need any water. So if you plant them and you think, oh gosh, it's so foggy in there, I can't even see, and there's water all over the inside of the glass, get a paper towel, wipe it out, leave the lid off for maybe a half an hour, and that will help bring back the balance of the ecosystem inside. So those are a couple of really easy tips that are going to help you a great deal when you get started.
Awesome. So we are talking with Maria Colletti. She's a terrarium expert and an author. So tell us about your book, Terrariums Under Glass. What can a reader expect to find, and why should our listeners check it out?
Yeah. Well, I really packed a lot of information in there. It was very thorough. And first of all, it's going to give you inspiration. I want to make a terrarium. I don't know where to start. What am I going to do? So there's a whole chapter on the designs that I have created, and I put in there the different styles that I have done and different plants I've used. And then, the basics of how to, step by step, what materials to use, what plants. And so you really have a complete picture from beginning to end. And then I added a couple of special projects at the end with moss and even a water terrarium and some fun things that a little more design-oriented to decorate your home. So it's very, very complete. You're going to have everything you need. And the pictures are great. We really worked very hard to get all the different ideas in there. So I think you're going to enjoy it. Very much so.
Well, with these terrariums, I know people are thinking, okay, do I set it next to a window? Do I need direct light, indirect light? Do I need to incorporate a grow light to keep these things going? And I guess it is also based on the type of plant in which you're putting in the terrarium.
Yes and no. And like we were saying in the beginning, terrariums are meant to be self-sustaining. So we want to create one that we really don't have to care for at all. And so two things to answer your question. You don't want to put it in direct sun or in the window because glass tends to magnify the sun. And unless it's an open bowl with succulents or cactus that are going to really want to bake, you don't want your little tropical plants or your ferns or your delicate little palms that are inside this terrarium to get too heated, especially in the summertime. In most areas of the country, I think it's very hot. So that's one thing. But you want a lit room. Plants need light. So you can put it on a coffee table or a side table or a shelf, just so there's light in the room. And you definitely don't need a grow light. And one of the reasons you don't is because you want the plants to sort of slow down their growing process and be happy to be living in this little small glass house. And they kind of know they're in a little cramped place. They don't grow a great deal, but a grow light would enhance that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just give them some regular light and they'll be fine.
Great. So can I create a terrarium garden by repurposing objects from inside my home?
You sure do, and especially during this time period over the last few months, I've even been doing that. So, old florist vases are very good. You know, you have all these vases that no longer have flowers in them, and you put them in the closet or under the kitchen sink. Those are great. Sometimes they have straight sides to them, and you can get your hand inside, so they're easy to plant. I have been a project going. I've been saving tomato sauce jars, and look at the companies that sometimes they use really terrific canning jars, and they have Atlas written on the side, which is a brand or something like that. And they're really quite vintage looking. So I've been collecting them over the last few months, and I actually was so excited because I went for a walk to get some air, and I passed this little antique shop, and they had this wire basket, and I'm going to make this multi-glass. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I'm just saying you could really easily get a wire basket or a regular basket and put your tomato sauce jars in there. You clean them out, and then you make a little terrarium in there. You get a plant. It could be even one little plant. And then you have a collection, and you could have a really cute windowsill design. So that's easy. Fish bowls are very good. You can even use large drinking glasses. You know, depends on whether you want something small or large. People sometimes use cake plates with the lid. That's a really fun project. So, yeah, so go through your kitchen cabinets and see what you've got available.
Now, before we let you go and ask how people can get a hold of you, I want to clarify. I know that people have these, plastic pretzel tubs or cheese ball tubs. These have to be glass. You can't use plastic to create a terrarium, or can you?
Well, it depends on how clear the plastic is. I suppose if you wanted to, I don't think it would harm the plants. I don't usually. I find that the glass containers are more sturdy, and I have a few terrariums that have even lasted a few years. And even though the plants are outgrowing the container, you have this sturdy container. So that might be an idea, but you could try plastic, and it doesn't have to last forever. If it lasts for a few months or that, starts to outgrow its container, you can make another one.
Well, we greatly appreciate, Maria, the information you provided. How can listeners find you and get a hold of your great book?
Well, I would love for them to do that. If they're on social media, I have an Instagram page, and it has a link to a web page that I've created. I also have email listed on both those areas. There is a Facebook page for the book terrariums, gardens under glass, you can certainly grab me there. And my email is listed on all these different areas. You're welcome to reach out and contact me. My web page has the books on them, and they have a very competitive sale price. And there's also one or two other items. I've created a T-shirt with a beautiful terrarium design and a tote bag. So please do go over to the website and see if one of those things attracts your attention. And please reach out to me. I always love to hear from people, and that's really the fun part.
Well, Maria, we thank you for your time you've offered Holly and myself and all of our listeners, and we thank you very much for that.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.